Hi, Dr. Paul Haider here. You know, sometimes we got to get rid of all the irritations in our life. I know, man, excuse me, it just couldn't lose weight. Now, this is just this last week. And he wondered why this is not possible. He's following my diet and everything. And I asked him, maybe it's you have something that you're slightly allergic to, a little bit of it, something that's irritating you. And so he said, well, you know what? I've been thinking that maybe almond milk is not good with, good for me, maybe not helping me in any way. So he gave up the almond milk, and lo and behold, all of a sudden he started losing weight like crazy. And so sometimes these little things may not be a full blown, reaction to something, but you might have some kind of slight reaction to something that's just keeping you from moving to the next level. And he started losing weight right away. And I find that very interesting that a lot of times we have that type of thing going on. I've met other people who had slight reactions to herbs also, and they wondered, why I'm not healing because of this. And all of a sudden they get rid of a particular herb. Maybe you're taking a whole plethora of stuff that they really shouldn't be taking anyway. And they get rid of some of that stuff, and all of a sudden, with less herbs, they start healing. I find that really interesting because it's all about healing with food for the most part anyway. But we get too many things going on, and they start to irritate us, and that gets in our way. And also, not only that, sometimes we have irritations of the mind. I know one person who, yeah, he was in one house, and across the street they had some younger people, and the younger people who were very well able and everything and had money would come over and ask for things. You know what I mean? They get some sugar, get this, get that, and they would do it 3 or 4 times a day. And a lot of times, the older people on this side didn't have what they wanted, and it was kind of got. At first it was okay. You want to be neighborly, you want to be nice to these people, but 3 or 4 times a day, it got kind of old. So they finally had to tell, we can't help you on a regular basis. You know what I mean? We 3 or 4 times a day. If you don't want to come once a week or something, we can do that. Sometimes we need to be truthful with people in order to help them understand that, we're not going to fulfill all your needs for you. You have to do some of these things. You have to get in the car and go help yourself. I find that very interesting. And sometimes we get a little irritations in life like that. I know another man who ended up having a brain problem, and he ended up going on lots of different medications, and the medications were causing all kinds of different problems with him. And then he cut out the medications, and he's still having problems. But then he started adding in so, some other stuff. First of all, he noticed he was angry at everybody because of stuff that had happened in his life. And he needed to get rid of that irritation. That irritation sometimes is in our mind. You know what I mean? We are angry because this has happened in the past and that happened in the past. He was angry because he had to basically quit his job, and he loved his job, and so he had all this anger built up that the doctors did this to me and that happened, and so he started doing meditation, and he finally got to the point of being loving and kind towards himself and all others, and he finally let go of that anger. And when he let go of that anger, the healing started happening, and he started getting better, and he was also following my diet. And so sometimes we got to get those little irritations of our mind out of the way so we can start feeling good about life. Sometimes that is the biggest irritation we have. It can really cause a lot of problems. Sometimes we have uh, people who get mad at us. We can have other people who, you can just say something to someone. I have one particular thing came to mind. As a person who down the street told another person across the street that they don't eat a particular food. And for some reason, the other lady construed that as, taking it personally. And, got all mad and angry and didn't want to talk to the other neighbor. And it had nothing to do with being a personal attack. It's just saying, I don't eat this particular food. And so she had to, you know, allow herself, this person who, told them, the other person, I don't eat this food, just had to put it out of their mind. They had to not take it as a personal attack and just take it as, just this person. That's who they are. And I have to let it go. And so then they were happy, and because they just let it go. Sometimes we just have to let things go. And when we do, then our life goes along smoothly because we have allowed things to move according to the great plan. And sometimes we hold on to stuff that is not good. I know a particular person who he had no kids, and he had one of his big family where he had stored some of his photos there, and that particular family member died, and they had a whole bunch of photos there, but he hadn't looked at those photos for probably 30 years, and they were cleaning out the attic, and it was all up in the attic, and he said, you know what, I don't have kids, there's nobody to pass them on to, I really don't know if they're really going to do me any good, and it's going to cost a lot to ship them here, so just let them go. I don't want to live in the past. And so he was able to let it go in his mind, let go of that little irritation of something about the past, and the past doesn't exist anymore. It's one thing if he had kids and he wanted to pass those down to somebody, but he didn't. And it's just going to clutter up his storage area, and then somebody else is going to throw them out. So might as well do it now. I remember one time, I had a huge box of Christmas ornaments, and I was really attached to all these Christmas ornaments because every year I buy a new one for a particular, reason. It meant a little something, and I was moving, and I had all these Christmas ornaments, but I knew it was just time to let them go, and I had to break free of the material things. And when I did that, clicking off, clicking on, I break free. So I gave them to a church that I went to, and it was, I have to say it was hard, but at the same time, I was in tears. I was giving these boxes of ornaments to them so they could sell them, and I was in tears. At the same time, there was a freedom there. And so it was letting go of this, something that was a memory, at the same time it was an irritation because I didn't want to live in the past. I wanted to live in the here and now. And so letting that go was a great freedom. In my life, I could take everything that really matters to me and probably put them in one suitcase, probably almost my clothes. And that would be all that was really necessary. Everything else is in my heart, I think that's really important, that we not cling on to material things. So a lot of people feel the material things are more important than even their own life. I've met that with people. In fact, I've met many people who, even close to death, were worried about what was going to happen to their material things, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But there's a lot of people like that. Very interesting. And also, we can have a lot of irritation over stuff that happens in our life. And if we allow ourselves to really hold on to those grudges, that's a real life irritation. And that will keep us from even healing in our body in general. And so we really got to get to a point where we say, just let it go. And let go of that past. Every time we step into the past, we're recreating the past into our life right now. And so we never actually move to a new place in our life. We never change. We never become better. We are always there in the past, in the past, in the past. So the things stay the same. Very interesting. And we wonder why we're stuck. But we actually stepped out of ourselves into a third person position and looked at our life. We would go, oh, yeah, I'm still living in the past about all this stuff. And from that point on, everything changes because we've changed. And we need to allow ourselves to let go of those irritations. You know, my dad was one of these people who had a lot of anger. In fact, he had so much anger. He had lots of arthritis also. And arthritis is one of the things in our mind, body, spirit process has to do with a lot of anger. And he was angry because, you know, when he left India, he ended up marrying my mom. My mom was blonde hair, blue eyed, and not of the same faith. And when he told his parents, they got angry. And my dad just blew up, you know. And that's very interesting. A year later, his parents came back and said, "No, we don't care. Just bring the kids. We want to all come. You know, bring Paul." I came around about a year later, actually, about a year and a half later, and they said, "Come, bring everybody to India." But my dad wouldn't let go of it. He would not let go of that, and so we never went. And my dad never went home. And so he is holding on to this stuff, this anger for years. And anger can increase blood pressure. He had high blood pressure. He had all kinds of disease processes. I wish I could have put him on my diet. He'd probably be still here right now, but he had to let go of all that anger. Anger is a huge problem. So that's an irritation. You know, it's a constant irritation in our life, which actually is stress, and that stress works to create inflammation in our gut, which causes autoimmune disease and all kinds of different problems. So another life stress, which causes an irritation in our life. So if we let go of those little irritations, we start to heal. You know, whether it be losing weight or, being able to gain muscle, or whether it be being at peace or letting go of the anger so that we feel better in life, about life in general. Those little irritations in our life are amazingly important to let go of. Also, there's people who, instead of dealing with particular processes going on, will go to some substance to take care of it. You know what I mean? Whether it be alcohol, whether it be going to eat all the time, whether it be going to, take a drug to not deal with their life. And that is a way of dealing with that irritation that's going on in their lives. And it's not very productive, you know. I know a person directly across the street. He's in the hospital in detox right now, and it's really, really hard because, all of his family wants him to get better, but he has to do it himself. And he has a lot of anger about the past, and he needs to let that go and allow himself to be free. And that way he wouldn't have to deal with this constant abuse to himself. And that anger is fueling all this to a point where he won't even allow himself to go to some place that could help him to get rid of his disease. And so that little anger, that little irritation, that little thing that keeps us from moving forward in our lives, keeping us from feeling peace. And that's what we're here for, to feel peace and to help others who are suffering. And I hope that you will talk to your own family about this. You know, what's going on with everybody in this family? Do we have little irritations in our family? In your, the kids in your family and in your wife and maybe your spouse in general? Maybe there's something going on that's not being talked about. Maybe that needs to be brought up and healed so that you can move on and find peace in general. And so if you really want to get rid of some of the bodily irritations, you want to get rid of some of the mental irritations, you want to get rid of some of the spiritual irritations, you know, you can do it. There's no doubt about it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you will subscribe, and I hope you will take the time to contact me. My consults are free, and you can get a hold of me. All the contact information is down below. Just click on Show More. And if you care to make a donation, that was greatly, greatly appreciated. And I hope you have a super day and wonderful Sunday. And here's to your great health, and I hope you let go of all your irritations in your life. But most of all, remember, I love you.